Health, Beauty, Life, the show, was created to recognize and explore trends in celebrity, food, beauty and fashion, health and fitness, travel and lifestyle. Hosted by Patrick Dockery.
Well, now we're here in the kitchen with Paulette Lambert, the Director of Nutrition here at the Institute. Is that correct?
That's right.
And how did you get your start?
I was a political science major and decided to go into food. Was going to be a pastry chef, but didn't want to drop out of college, so I ended up going into nutrition. And it's been a great career.
Yeah, and it's not just nutrition. I mean, you were heavily into it. You were helping a lot of people.
Right, I came to the Institute 5 years ago from a private practice. I had one of the largest practices in Los Angeles for 28 years, saw a lot of patients on a one-to-one, probably thousands and thousands of people. I specialized in eating disorders, cardiac care, and diabetes.
Wow.
Did a lot of pediatrics as well. So kind of know the clinical end, and then here at the Institute, I also get to run the Wellness Kitchen, which is a whole different venue because I can take all that medical information and actually put it into practical application for people, how we eat.
So you're literally taking people and helping to change the lifestyle, which is the theme throughout, obviously, the center, and teaching them ways to cook as well.
Right, we need skill development. Many of us know what we're supposed to do, but actually doing it is difficult because we don't have the skills. And so the Wellness Kitchen is really about skill development, teaching people how to make healthy food taste fabulous, and that's our job here.
And healthier choices.
And better choices.
Well, one of the things we were talking about a little earlier is that you're changing the percentage of meat to grains and vegetables. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Right, we're actually doing a plant-based diet. That's the philosophy of the Wellness Kitchen. And a plant-based diet doesn't mean you have to be totally vegetarian, but what it means when you look at a plate, that you have less protein. Americans eat a half a plate of protein, 8-12 ounces at a serving, where we want people down to women and children about 3 or 4 ounces, men about 5 or 6, much less. Some whole grain, and at least half that plate should be stacked this high with vegetables and fruit. Okay. So that's more of a plant-based diet, and all the medical evidence supports that is the road to longevity and prevention of chronic disease.
Okay.
So that's how we all should be eating.
And then learning how to make that taste good and appealing and creating a lifestyle.
Right.
That's where you come in.
Right, right.
And what are some of the programs for that? Tell me a little bit about that here.
For nutrition, we have the Wellness Kitchen, which we have 3 consumer classes a week, which means anybody can come in here numerous times to get that healthy cooking, learning how to eat right down. We have one-on-one consultation, so you can sit down with a registered dietitian. We'll look at your medical history, your lab work, and we can do that analysis and then kind of tweak it to fit you individually, especially based on your family history or if you have any medical concerns.
One of the things you were talking about is that the change in our culture. We're not cooking anymore at home, are we?
Less, much less than we did 40 years ago. We're about 50% down in the last 40 years. And it doesn't bode well because what we're looking at is the obesity rates in populations are not determined by social economics anymore. They're determined how many minutes we spend in the kitchen cooking. We cook less, we have more obesity. So cooking skills are something that we need to cultivate in our culture again and get back into that so we can all eat healthier. And there's nothing wrong with, grocery stores shredding the carrot in a bag or washing the spinach for us.
It's just a little higher cost.
It's a little higher cost, not much actually, about $150 a year, not that much.
Wow.
And it does save a lot of time, and it encourages people to go home and do more cooking. So there's nothing wrong with the grocery store doing a little prep work, but we still need to cook our food fresh, real whole food, not processed food.
And we're going to see that right now. So what are we going to prepare today?
We're going to prepare a salmon dish that's salmon with wilted spinach and an Indonesian glaze on that salmon.
Sounds good.
It is so delicious, but that spinach is going to take a big part of that plate because, again, less salmon and a lot of vegetables on the plate is how we want to eat. And we need to make these plain, simple foods taste fabulous, so we're going to make a very, very good sauce.
Wonderful.
So start with your saucepan.
Okay.
Get that on the heat here.
You got it.
And we're going to add a small amount of a no trans fat margarine, so just pop some of that in there.
I'm the assistant chef today. We'll get that, and that's already pretty melted here.
Yeah, it's been warm in here, so it's probably halfway melted,
Great.
and we don't need too much.
Great.
And then we're going to add some crushed red pepper to get a little heat going.
Heat, love the heat.
Yeah, we're going to let that stir that around in there. One thing about fast food, it has like 3 flavors: salt, sugar, and fat. Not a big flavor profile. No. So in here, we do a lot more with spices and herbs to give food a lot of.
This looks like garlic.
A little bit of garlic. And again, we're going to add a little bit of brown sugar to this. And people go, oh, you're adding sugar. We're not drinking this pan of sauce. We're going to use 2 tablespoons drizzled over our fish. So a little bit of sauce goes a long ways. And so a little bit of brown sugar.
Okay.
So about a quarter cup of brown sugar, and again, this is making enough for about 6 or 8 people.
Very good.
And let that boil. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit, and we want that brown sugar to melt, to kind of caramelize in there. So you're going to notice it kind of bubbling and kind of getting like it's melting, like a little slippery looking actually.
Yeah, looks good.
We're going to add a lot of lime juice to that to give it that kick. So we've got sweet, hot, and tart all at one time. So this is a very, very flavorful sauce that makes salmon and plain spinach fabulous.
Okay, and then you have...
I've squeezed some lime juice, and we've got about a half a cup of lime juice, and you can let that bubble just a little bit more, and then you're going to put that lime juice in there.
Just bubble in here, so as you can see.
So you don't want to burn it, because the sugar could burn.
Absolutely.
And again, we're not adding cups of sugar to a sauce, we're adding 4 tablespoons of sugar.
Okay.
Okay, that looks like it's ready for that lime juice.
All right, we'll get some lime juice in there.
And the smell of this with the lime juice and the tamari and the garlic, I know, it's like fabulous smelling sauce.
This smells so good.
And what I have here is a little bit of cornstarch, and I'm adding a little bit of water to thicken the sauce and give it a little bit of consistency.
Very good.
And as soon as that boils, we'll put this in here.
All right, let that simmer.
We forgot our light soy sauce.
Oh, okay, which is actually
tamari. For those that are gluten sensitive, tamari is gluten-free. So now we have our cornstarch and our little bit of water, tablespoon of water, a couple teaspoons of cornstarch, and I've just mixed that together. You can pour that in there.
This has a thickening agent.
And that's going to give our sauce that silky consistency instead of making it so watery. So a little bit of sauce sticks to that fish.
And this is boiling right now.
Right. We're just going to let it boil for maybe a minute to cook off that starch taste, and then we'll set that aside and we'll saute our spinach. Now, today we're cooking salmon, and this is a great sauce with salmon. And salmon is that fish that's so high in omega-3 that we want everybody to try to eat more of. But again, we don't need 8 and 10 ounce portions. For men, 5 or 6 ounces. For women and children, 3 or 4 ounces is more than enough. A pound should feed 3 adults or 2 adults and 2 young children. So we can eat better quality food and not eat as much of it. That's kind of the goal. We need to eat less protein, but better quality protein. Okay, you can pull that sauce aside on that back burner over there. That's like gonna just kind of cool down a little bit and thicken. Smells wonderful. So your next pan here is we're gonna just put a drop of olive oil in here.
Light amount.
Not too much, and you would think you need a lot, but you really don't.
That's very little. That's like maybe a teaspoon.
Yeah, not very much.
A little teaspoon of oil there. Okay.
And you can kind of maybe take that spoon down there and kind of swirl that around a little bit. And then I'm just going to have you toss.
Swirl it around a little.
And you want to, when you buy pre-washed spinach, which many of us do in those bags, you want 1 bag for every 2 people. You want a lot of spinach on the plate, at least a cup per person. Because, we want to try to volumize our meals with more fruits and vegetables, not for protein.
Fill up on the things that aren't as high calorie, and also that maybe have a lot more vitamin content as well.
And antioxidants and fiber and all that healthy stuff.
Absolutely.
A cup of starch is about 250 to 300 calories a cup for white rice or potatoes or pasta. A cup of vegetables is between 30 and 40 calories a cup. So you need to eat a lot of vegetables.
And a lot more flavor, by the way.
Can be if we cook them right.
Absolutely.
I think we all think we just have to steam things plain and that's how we're supposed to eat them. Adding a drop of olive oil, a teaspoon of no trans fat margarine, a dash of garlic, a shake of Parmesan cheese can make these low calorie vegetables
just come alive. They come alive.
Come alive, exactly, Patrick, come alive. And again, we got into that steamed broccoli, nothing on it diet food, and that's not what's going to make anybody want to
stay on that diet. Are you kidding?
Doesn't want to eat vegetables very much. You can just flip that around with those. That works pretty well.
Okay, well, we're doing this. I guess going to pan sear that salmon, huh?
Right, and I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper to our salmon for flavoring. And you notice that I'm doing this way high, and people think that looks so cool on a TV show to do that. Cool. But the reason why we do that, it evenly disperses on the fish instead of getting it all in one.
Now, is this sea salt? I know it's coarse ground. Is it particular?
Sea salt, yes, it is. And when we use that instead of iodized salt, is it's not as bitter tasting on the fish or on the vegetable.
Right. And people with thyroid issues, potentially, things like that, maybe?
We don't really get goiter anymore in the United States due to the lack of iodine, because we don't eat our food only grown in the Great Lakes. We eat food from all over the world, most of us, or at least locally in different areas. It's not a big problem any longer.
Very good.
And very small amount of salt and pepper, but that pinch gives food flavor without giving us excessive amount of sodium.
Absolutely.
That looks so pretty. But look how much it wilts down. We had a huge bowl.
Nothing.
So this is really just for two or three people. We need to use a lot of spinach in cooking. And we would love you to eat leafy green vegetables 3 or 4 times a week. Lots of vitamin K, folic acid, and really lots of antioxidants. That's about it.
How done.
That looks beautiful. It doesn't need to get too much more wilted than that.
Very good.
So put that aside. Now, the secret to great fish.
Okay,
We're going to pan sear fish and oven roast. You know, very often people say, you know, my fish doesn't taste like a restaurant's fish does. It's not as good as a restaurant. Well, what they do is they get a pan very hot, and I'm going to really get the heat on here.
Okay.
And we want this pan so hot that you can't hold your hands over it for more than 5 seconds, because that's what's going to seal that fish and give us that browning, you know, that nice browning effect that makes it taste so good.
And it sears the moisture in.
Seals the moisture in, and it gives us flavor. What restaurants do is they'll pan sear earlier in the day, put it on trays and put it in there, and then they just pop it in the oven to finish the cooking process. These thick pieces would take a long time to cook in a pan. We just want to brown them in the pan, and we'll finish it off in the oven. So we are pan searing, oven roasting fish.
Wow,
do this with halibut, do this with salmon. It makes fish so much flavorful.
All right.
I'm going to use barely a couple teaspoons of olive oil in a non-stick pan. Don't need very much.
Spread this around a little.
Just kind of move it around.
There we go.
And it's got to be, it's starting to shimmer a little bit.
Starting to
So
shimmer.
really hot. I'm going to turn it down just a drop.
Yep.
And when you put your fish in, put the pretty side down, because that's going to have the prettiest browning, and kind of put it away from you so you don't burn yourself and it doesn't splatter. Exactly. Don't poke. Don't
touch it right now.
Because if you poke it around, then it's not going to seal.
Yep.
And you know what it is the protein molecules actually shrink with the heat, and it pulls it off the pan, so we can turn it over very easily.
Oh, very good. And you do have a non-stick pan.
And I have a non-stick pan. But even if I didn't, it would be the same thing. If it's hot, it's not going to stick.
Right.
It's the heat of the pan that's going to make that salmon really work.
Oh, wow. That smells nice.
That smells great.
Mm-hmm. Now there's a controversy about farm-raised, wild-caught salmon. What's your opinion on all that?
Well, we know that eating salmon is good for us.
We know that.
The problem is if we only ate wild salmon, there'd be no fish left in the ocean.
Not
so
sustainable.
Probably not sustainable. So eat wild when you can. It's in season from May till September.
Okay.
After that, you're probably going to need to eat farm-raised salmon. And it does have a lot of omega-3 in it.
Right.
Only thing you need to be watchful is where is it farmed, so we don't have the pollution and the contamination problems. So our suggestion is for people to eat fish that's farmed in the U.S., Canada, Alaska, Europe, and Norway and Sweden.
Okay.
Stay out of countries that don't have a lot of pollution control, like, for example, Bangladesh and Thailand. You may not want to do a lot of farm-raised fish in more undeveloped areas.
Okay.
And so this is why we can still eat farm-raised fish and do
Good
great
advice.
with it. I think those might be ready to turn over.
So we'll just turn these over now. Oh,
Perfect.
wow.
Beautiful brown color.
Gorgeous.
Some crispness to that. It's going to give us a lot more flavor.
Yeah, it looks good.
Isn't that beautiful?
Smells
So
good
much
too.
better than just when it's just roasted and it doesn't have that browning effect.
Not at all.
Now, technically, you don't see both sides of the fish on your plate, so you really only have to brown one. So we can just stick this right in the oven right now, and we're ready to do this.
So off we go.
5 minutes, 350, we should have the perfect fish.
Great. Okay. So, tell us a little more about, some of the things that we can do here. Like, what are some of the things that you're involved in as far as, using food as medicine?
Food is edible medicine, so if somebody comes in with a medical concern, they're going to have that individual consultation to really get their eating on track. We also do menus for people. We give them shopping lists. We can take them to the market and show them. We have a variety of workshops as well, where you can do things like mindless eating. We have workshops.
What does that mean, mindless eating? That sounds interesting.
Mindless eating workshop is to become more mindful. Many of us eat and we don't think about, are we hungry? Are we full?
Is this something I should put in my mouth?
Exactly. You become more mindful about why you eat and where you're eating. The bigger the portion, the more people eat. We know that in studies. If we give people big popcorn bowls, they eat a lot more popcorn. If you use smaller utensils. So becoming more mindful of starting to monitor your quantities of food and the way you eat is important. And there's actually techniques of becoming more mindful. And we all need to become more mindful about eating healthier.
What about your state of mind when you're eating? Is that a big issue?
It's a big deal. When people do, very stressed out or very extremely fatigued, people have a tendency to eat a lot more.
When you're tired.
When you're tired, people eat more. Because we think eating is going to give us energy. Obviously, we have a lack of sleep and we're tired. Eating more doesn't necessarily give you more energy, but our tendencies to do that. And also when you're tired, your resistance to temptation is much less.
Absolutely. So I guess we're ready for the salmon, huh?
Okay, let's take a look.
Can't wait to try this.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful salmon. Isn't that gorgeous?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's plate that up. So what you want here is you want a lot of spinach on the plate. In fact, we're going to use all of this. And this is how you can feel like you're eating a lot and not really have to deal with the calories, and all you're doing is getting healthy. In fact, that easily could be spinach for one person. Okay, so we got
Gotta
spinach.
keep ourselves looking good.
And then we're going to take a gorgeous piece of salmon and set right on top of there. Wonderful. Take your great sauce over here.
The smell is amazing. That sauce is incredible.
Sauce is incredible. Doesn't take a lot of it.
No.
It's very strong flavored with all the lime juice and the tamari.
Yeah, I can smell it from here, and I'm 2 feet away, 3 feet away.
We're just going to drizzle a little bit of that sauce on there. A little bit on the spinach. And again, 2 tablespoons is more than adequate that we need. It drips off there a little bit so it looks pretty. So here you go.
This is gorgeous. It looks beautiful.
Give you a fork
Let's
and you get
taste
to
this up.
taste and see what you think.
Get a little of this salmon.
So we have basic salmon and spinach, 2 ingredients,
Oh,
but with that fabulous sauce.
Wow, smells great. Now let's taste it. That's so good. The lime, taste a little bit of the heat,
A little bit
and
of
the
the
spinach
sweet.
complements it perfectly. Wow, amazing.
So
This is
simple
delicious.
food that can taste delicious and still be low calorie and super, super healthy.
Absolutely.
And it's a party in your mouth. Lots
It
of
is.
flavor. Yeah.
Tons of flavor. I mean, right now, I'm still tasting it. It's just incredible. It's not a lot of oil, not a lot of grease. It's a lot of flavor, and that's the key. And that's
Right.
that's what our goal was.
That was our goal. Simple food made taste wonderful.
Well, you're amazing, and thank you so much.
You're so
Appreciate it.
welcome. You're so welcome.
And thanks for all the information. I mean, we've learned a lot here today.
Good.
It was
Great.
incredible. You're a great teacher.
Come back and see us again.
We will, definitely. Well, now we're on to our next segment, which is going to deal with the medical facility, and can't wait to find out what happens there. It's been incredible so far.